Welcome to the Mrs. Are Relevant podcast. Mrs. Are Relevant is your daily draft podcast. During the college football season, we will highlight draftable players which match up. Our goal is to cover the draftables, players 1 to 400 on our initial big boards, hoping to show which players are improving draft stock before the Senior Bowl kicks off draft season. None of the players discussed have officially declared for the NFL draft as of the time of the recording. My name is Jim. You can find me on Twitter at NFL Draft Fanatic. So this episode is going to focus on the Week 3 matchup between Kansas State and Arizona. And right at the top, we want to focus on Tetairoa McMillan versus Jacob Parrish. So T-Mac is likely a top 10 draft pick. So most big boards have him somewhere top 5, top 10. He's definitely going to be off the board before the end of the first half of the first round. So let's focus on T-Mac at wide receiver lining up against Jacob Parrish. So while Parrish is pretty far down the draft board, he has a draftable grade. So this is a matchup we would definitely want to look at. Now, Parrish tends to play nickel corner or free safety in a 3-3-5 defense. So how often he lines up against McMillan, it may not be a repeatable matchup, but we would definitely want to look at how Parrish is used, likely one of the better defenders on Kansas State against the best offensive player on Arizona. And then if I go a little bit further down the list, I actually want to talk about Treshaun Ward against Gunnar Maldonado and Justin Flo. So we have a running back matching up against a safety and linebacker. So that's a good matchup. Now, with Ward, Maldonado, and Flo, none of the three have a draftable grade, but there are some things to consider. So right now, Justin Flo is coming off of an injury, and he is on Bruce Feldman's freak list. So that's definitely a player that could be ascending in value from the Arizona side if he puts together several solid games. Right, one game isn't going to get him drafted, but if he can put it together from where he is on the draft board now, I think, especially this is a strong linebacker and a strong safety class. I think we're going to see 5 to 10 linebackers and safeties in the top 100. It's easily going to be at least 5 or 6 from each position. The question is, could we get 10 safeties, 10 linebackers in the top 100. So that's definitely an uphill battle for both of those players, Maldonado and Flo. But at the same time, that's something to keep our eye on this early in the draft cycle. Now let's flip ourselves back to Arizona because there's some other players in Arizona we haven't talked about yet. And we definitely want to talk about Jonah Savaiinaea. Okay, so he's a right tackle, right guard. I think a lot of people are, let's say, plugging him in at guard for the NFL level. So Savaiinaea is likely a top 50 player right now. So just remember the name, not necessarily a matchup against Kansas State, but remember the name. Another name, Tecario Davis. So one of the interesting things about this point of the draft cycle is you see varied grades on a player, and Tecario Davis fits that criteria. So I have seen some boards where Davis is like inside the top 100. I've seen other boards where he is a top 32 player going in round 1. So let's keep our eye on Tecario Davis from Arizona as we go through this college football season and enter into the draft cycle. And then lastly, Noah Fifita from Arizona. So Bryce Young right now is not doing him any favors in the NFL. So he has a size profile that's really similar to Bryce Young, 5'11", 194. So Fifita he definitely has a draftable grade. So somebody's going to take him. The question is, are they taking him on day 2 or day 3? Right? So right now, the board I'm looking at has a day 3 grade on Fifita. So let's just pay attention to Fifita as this college football season progresses. But those top 4 players for Arizona are all draftable grades. And the top 3 players from Arizona are likely day 1 and day 2 players. So McMillan, Savaiinaea, and Davis are all likely going to be gone in the draft before the end of round 3. So those are some players to watch on Arizona. So my name is Jim. You can follow me on Twitter or X at NFL Draft Fanatic. There is no I in Fanatic. NFLDraftFanatics.com is the home of the only interactive mock draft simulator. Using our draft simulator, the fans rate the players and the fans control the big board based upon the mock drafts that you do. So pay attention to this channel. Please like, follow, subscribe. If you want to learn more about the interactive mock draft simulator or find other players that we're talking about entering the draft cycle, we are here for you. Our goal is to cover the top 200 players on this channel leading into the draft cycle. So we're not just focused on the top of the draft board. We are focused on all of the draftable players. So remember, every day is draft day if you have the right attitude. My name is Jim with NFLDraftFanatics.com. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great Monday.